January. She was dirty and smelly. So was this. Took it to Vermont. Didn't go crazy, didn't really scrub the wheels or tires, but sprayed it good, washed it, dried it. And washed mine last week, but I'm gonna go 5 feet there. It's gonna be all cruddy again because the road's gonna be all wet, but get it ready for some fresh sand and salt. Purpose of the video today is to try to clear up the differences between crossover, SUVs, and truck-based. And something that I think there's some confusion on. Not necessarily anybody's fault. I think it's done intentionally by manufacturers to try to blur things, and I forgive the wind. It's pretty windy today. So what's a truck? Let's start with that. Well, that's a truck. What makes a truck? Well, according to Joe's definition, you need a frame, a longitudinal engine, maybe a solid rear axle, and if you're four-wheel drive, you need a transfer case, preferably 2-speed. This is a truck. This is about as simple and reliable as you can get. Carbureted, small block, 4-speed, no computer, and fun. Completely inefficient. I don't care. These are truck-based SUVs. There's not many left. For your viewing pleasure, through lots of time, effort, research, did I put it in here? Now, in these uncertain times, when who knows what's up and what's down and left is right and God only knows what else is going on, I'm a person who likes absolutes. I like facts, I like figures, I like proof and evidence. So those are my criteria: a frame, a solid rear axle, longitudinal engine, probably spelt wrong, and a transfer case. 2-speed, I don't know, because Chevy decided to do something crazy and put a single-speed transfer case on the new Suburbans. But that's definitely truck-based. Who fits? Well, the Suburban, the Tahoe, the Wranglers, the new Bronco, the 4Runner. Are there others? Yeah, probably. Those are the popular ones, though. I didn't make a list of who isn't. That list is just far too long. It's everybody else who, Honda, Nissan, Toyota, every brand, Chevy, they all make one. In limbo, these are the ones that I'm not sure about. The Grand Cherokee doesn't have a frame, doesn't have a solid rear axle, but they're good off-road. There is some aftermarket support for them. You can get them with lockers. Engine goes the right way. The Explorer, not so much off-roady, but now the new ones, the engine goes the right way, and they're primarily rear-wheel drive driven. And those Subarus, I'm not sure. They're certainly more off-roady than a Highlander or a Pilot or a Ridgeline or what's that other one? I don't know. They're pretty good off-road, and they have a history in it too. They use all kinds of marketing now, and Sky Active and symmetrical all-wheel drive and all this other bullshit. What they do to get, they're all those other brands, we'll just call them everybody else, they're all front-wheel drive. So you start off, you're in front-wheel drive. These aren't. These are rear-wheel drive bias. As a matter of fact, in Texas, most of them are rear-wheel drive. Would be useless in New England. But what they have for a rear end that, again, separates it, and they don't tell you this, and you have to do some research. Here you have, the solid rear axle, heavily gusseted, with a big old ring and pinion gear. That one's got a huge one on it, and I've taken the cover off. A corporate 14-bolt is massive. They very rarely break them. These have a good reputation as well. But what these new crossovers use is a tiny ring and pinion gear in kind of, I don't even know what you call the rear end. It's all aluminum. It uses independent rear suspension with CV axles and multi-link suspension, which rides good, but they're not tough at all. And then to get your power out to here from the center, they use clutch packs. They don't tell you this. So power goes into a tiny little ring and pinion. I couldn't believe how small it is. And then there's a set of clutch packs on either side, and your CV axle is splined into those, so that you can never get 100% traction to your rear. In other words, the most that it will send to the back is between 10 and 70%. And what happens is, if you do get into a situation where you're stuck and you spin out, they overheat. And when they overheat, you lose all rear traction. This is a fact. This is not me bashing crossovers. We had one, and we got rid of it at a Pathfinder. I'm sure that used the same setup. I know Honda uses it. And for most people, it's probably fine. You know, I live at the bottom of a hill, and most of the time I can get up in two-wheel drive in these. But, you know, we do some fair amount of off-roading in some serious areas with this one. And it's fabulous in four-wheel drive. I've never used the 4Low. I've used it, but not that I needed to. I think it's 373 gears. Real four-wheel drive. This one doesn't have the locker, but you can get it through Toyota, and you can get it through ARB. Put ARB air locker. I mean, the list of aftermarket for 4Runners is almost as long as the list of aftermarket for an F-150 or for a Jeep Wrangler, which is for someone like me, an enthusiast. It's great. I would never buy a Pilot or a Ridgeline or a Highlander. That doesn't fit our lifestyle. But these do. And they're fine. I've seen them out on the beach too, and they do okay. But they bottom out, and they do get stuck with more frequency than something like this. That's a fact. And I recently talked to a nice guy who had bought a Highlander, and he was admiring this, and he's like, "Oh, I'd like to put tires like this on it, and I'd like to lift it." And I said, "They make a lift for that?" And I said, "Why? Why don't you just buy a 4Runner? You don't have to do any of that stuff." And okay, let's say you do put a little lift on it. Some Russian company makes a 1-inch spacer lift, I think. You're gaining ground clearance, but you're not, so you can go a little bit deeper in and then get stuck further in, and you can burn up that front transaxle. Once those get hot, those front transaxles, they're toast. And the rear end, once they cool off, you get traction, but who wants to deal with that? Again, this is for someone who's going to be pulling something heavy, launching a boat, off-road, deep snow, deep sand, deep mud. You know, there's all kinds of videos online of people putting those cars in those situations. Doesn't mean it's right, doesn't mean you should. But so it depends on what you're gonna do. I mean, and maybe you just like the look of a 4Runner. It's aggressive. It's got some character. It stands out as opposed to you know, a blob, which is what most of the. I mean, take those badges off them. I'm a car guy. I don't care to know the difference, and you just can't tell the difference. These, at least you can find them in the parking lot. But you know, the downside of this is they're higher. They have less gas mileage. They're heavier because you got the full frame. A little less interior space for passengers because you got the full frame. Even though this has way more cargo volume than the Pathfinder did because it's boxy. You know, it's nearly vertical, or it's got a little angle. Pathfinder's like that. They're all round, and then the back goes in at a severe angle. Round doesn't translate to cargo. That's why box trucks use a box. So, you know, what makes a truck? I'd say those things. Fits this, fits that. If you're looking for, you know, you get a little bit of snow and you want to take your family, you know, they're good, you know, grocery getting. But if you want something a little more off-roady, please, you know, don't take this. I'm tired of pulling you guys off the beach all the time. You know, it's frustrating. And there's no recovery points. There's no frame. So, anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. Sorry, I'm untangling my dog. And I guess at some point I'll have to do a video